Good evening and welcome to our Smyrna Town Council July workshop to set our agenda for our August meeting. Before we move into items for discussion, I am going to ask Jerry to do our prayer, and Mike Moss, will you do our pledge tonight? If everybody will stand with us, please.
Father God, I thank you so much for this day, Lord. I thank you for the blessings that you've given us, Father. Lord, I thank you for the rain that we've gotten in the last several weeks, or this week, Lord. And I just thank you and give you praise for that, Father. Lord, as we come tonight, Lord, and we look into the business of this town, Father, just give us wisdom to look at this and to make the right decisions. Lord, I thank you for those that serve our town. I thank you for our fire and our police and all our employees that come and work and to make it a better place, Lord. And we truly thank you for them, and we just thank you again for blessing us. Father, go with us now during this meeting, and Father, forgive me when I fail you, and I pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Mike. Items for discussion. Our first item is public comment. And just a reminder, the town's public comment period shall be reserved for those citizens that have signed up to address the town council or a board or committee at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting pursuant to the town's public comment policy, and speakers are limited to 3 minutes, but additional comments may be submitted in writing. And tonight we do have someone under public comments. It is Matthew Fee and about board appointments. So if you'll come forward, for the record, if you'll state name, address, and if you live in the town limits.
Sure. My name is Matt Fee. I live at 1101 Winding Branch Drive, all the way out in Christiana. No, I do not live in Smyrna. Thank you for letting me come here tonight. First, I wanted to give a quick shout out to your town clerk, Amber Hobbs, who helped me yesterday. She fixed an issue with the library board not being an option to select the county or on Smyrna's committee and board applications form. I really appreciate her quick action and public service, even for someone who doesn't live in Smyrna. So I really appreciate that. And you know, that's really what it's all about, right? Public service. I've come here today because I am concerned about what I heard at the Rutherford County Library Systems Board meeting earlier this month about open appointments from Smyrna. And it was mentioned that there were no applicants. However, I've been contacted by someone who is willing and has applied and was even interviewed back in March. And despite her own efforts to find out what the status is of her application, has not received any responses. I think it is very important that when one of our most important public services is pleading for support, like the Rutherford County Library Systems Board was, that when someone is willing and highly qualified to serve on the board, they be appointed as soon as possible. I am here to advocate for the appointment of Angela Frederick to Rutherford County Library Board. She has over 20 years' experience in both public and school libraries and served on multiple boards and committees such as Outstanding Books for College Bound Committee, and has been liaison between the Tennessee Library Association and the Tennessee Association of School Libraries. I ask that you please appoint Ms. Frederick so that she can serve her community and that RCLS board positions not go unfilled. She could not make it here tonight, but Mr. Sullivan should have her contact information. Please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Steve, are you going to be giving a library update?
Yeah,
Okay.
under other tonight.
Okay.
We've kind of got a new direction on that, so we can
Okay.
talk about it there.
Perfect. Okay, we'll move on to item 2, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with O.R. Cole and Associates to perform review appraisals and negotiations for right-of-way acquisition for sidewalks along Florence Road.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This is just the next step in the project for Florence Road sidewalks is to acquire the easements right-of-way necessary for this project. We do not have notice of procedure right away yet, but I wanted to go ahead and get an approval and move forward on a contract with a consultant to do the work. It is following TDOT's local programs requirements as far as doing an appraisal, getting a review appraisal approved, and then the negotiation. So this contract is with all three entities who provide those services. And like I said, as soon as we get notice, this way, once it's approved, as soon as we get notice to proceed to right away, we'll be ready to move forward with that work.
Great. Questions for Tom on this? I think anything we can do to move this project along.
Yeah.
Did you say that there were three bidders? What did I hear you say about three? You said something about three.
I'm not sure what I said about three. There were, well, when we went out to RFP, we had, I think, 2 respondents, and then we ranked them. O.R. Cullen was the top ranked respondent, and then we got a proposal from them. But there's 4, I think it might have mentioned a number as far as 4. There's 4 tracks that we have to get. And it includes 3 steps, the appraiser, review appraisal, and the negotiator. So that's where the 3 came from.
Have we ever worked with them before?
One of the people, I think, is Randy Button in here, and I have worked with him
Him?
before in the
Yes.
past. He does a really good job.
And he's a subcontractor for
Yes.
them? Okay.
Other questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 3, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Musco Lighting to replace the sports field lighting on Field 3 at Todd Lane Baseball Complex. Mike?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. Staff's coordinated a quote and purchase agreement with Musco Lighting through the Sourcewell purchasing contract. Project includes demolition of the existing light system and installation of a new LED sports lighting system. This lighting system has automated controls, LED lighting, and a 25-year warranty. It will be similar to what you've seen at Cedar Stone Park and the ones that are already at Todd Lane on 2 small fields. Cost of the project is $346,869, and it is included in the 24-25 capital improvement budget. Our goal is to get the job done between seasons. It'll take 8 to 10 weeks or more to get the materials in, and then installation over the winter. We'll have some asphalt work and things like that to do, but I'll be glad to get those old poles out of the air, to be honest with you. And lighting should be much better for the players over there.
But no issues in regards to the houses that are around there?
No, it shouldn't be. It actually should be better because spill light's controlled so much now.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of work. Those new light systems, they're very precise on what you're gonna light, you know.
Okay.
Mike, do you have any information on the cost difference related to the usage? I'm assuming LED's a lot more efficient, a lot less costly than running those old mercury vapor bulbs or whatever. it
Yeah,
is.
a lot of them are metal halide, the old ones, like our tennis courts and Lee Victory Park. There is some savings. Sometimes it's hard to compare because some of them play more than the others. They're used more nights of the week. So some of them may be 150 nights a week, in a year, compared to somewhere else it might be 100. But there is some cost savings for sure that we're seeing, like at the soccer park. We have the old fields versus the new, but it's definitely different acreage too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it runs a lot easier. We don't have many problems, and I think the 25-year warranty, it's pretty much, if something goes wrong, either we call a contractor and they take care of the price or the cost, or vice versa. And it's rare that you have anything.
And is there plans to continue on with like the rec park and football field and?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think you're seeing a lot of cities are changing out sports fields in phases. So I think the next one will probably be Volunteer Park or tennis courts. Tennis courts are on and off a lot, so LED sports lighting is about like turning the lights on here. They'll go on and off all night. So that's kind of the plan, is start phasing those out. Soccer park, it's obviously well lit, but when you see the difference between the new and the old,
Sorry.
Sounds like there's an
I hear
echo.
myself.
Yeah, sorry. Just want to make sure we don't
But
have
I think,
questions.
I know Hendersonville is phasing theirs out, Franklin is phasing theirs out. And there's really 2 reasons: better lighting, but you're also, it's going to be starting to get hard to find parts. So,
You can turn them off from any other place too, right? Just,
yeah,
phone
we
or
can,
whatever.
and that's very valuable. A lot of times, I can call our athletics team and say, hey, there's, it's raining, nobody's on the fields if I'm on my way home, and they can turn them off, or I can from your phone, computer. It also tells you, Musco will email you when you've got an issue. So you'll know it in your office before out in the field if there's something
wrong or they got some lights out.
Are you hiring the contractor to put these in? Because they're just sending us the lights, correct?
The subcontract will be Reynolds Electric,
Okay.
and they'll work for Musco, and they've done a lot of work for us.
What about Fields 1 and 2 over there?
We just replaced those 8 years ago. They're not LED, but they were on the back end of the new. I think they've got a 25-year warranty on those. And that's really what sold me on Musco. We were using Qualite for years just because we liked their system, but Musco was really good. That's what's been used on tennis courts at Cedar Stone as well.
I think the first place we used the Musco was at the Fields 1, 2, and 3 at the soccer park, wasn't it?
Those were Qualite,
They were?
yes, sir. All that's Qualite, and Volunteer Park is Musco, the original ones.
Mike, what happens, for example, Musco is not in business 10 years from now? How does the warranty carry forward?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they would have to cover it. They've been around a long time. That would really surprise me. Could it happen?
Yeah, it's just a what if.
Yeah.
25-year warranty is a long time.
It's a long time. It's a long time. I would have to really look into that and see.
I was just curious. I thought you
I would
might.
assume that they would have something in place to cover that.
Yeah, I think the only risk would be if they file bankruptcy, then there would have to be some escrow or something. But if they sold, any new company would probably have to pick up their warranties, I would
Right.
suspect.
Yeah. Good questions, though.
Other comments or questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 4, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an expanded contract with eSource to include leak detection services. Hey, Mike.
How are you?
Great.
Good. So we currently have a contract with eSource about water loss. They've done a full billing analysis, looked at how the plant calculates what they use in Flushing, what's done in Flushing, the whole ball of wax. They've done an outstanding job for us, so we would like to expand their scope of services to include a full leak survey for the system. That'll include 280 miles of main plus all the meters, valves, services, hydrants. Take about 15 to 18 weeks.
Okay. Questions for Mike on this?
What do they do now?
eSource, they just are in the process of completing, we've gotten the final report on, they went through the entire billing system to make sure everything was being calculated correctly, everything was pulling from the Itron system correctly. They've done testing at the water plant on the high service pump meter that sends water out to the distribution system. They've looked at Kevin Relford, who's the plant manager. They've looked at all his calculations on how he's calculating losses and doing all that. They've done the full scope of work on everything. What it's pointing to is leaks in the system. So that's why we want to expand this service with them.
So how does this affect the contract we have with, is it Dan Parker? Someone who has, not Dan.
So we have Dan Weaver, but
Weaver.
Dan, his son was working with him and another guy. He no longer has those people. So
Okay.
he doesn't have the ability to do this full scope of services like eSource does. Dan's close to retirement also, so he kind of wants to be an on-call guy. Dan's one of those people we can call in the middle of the night, he'll come out. So, we'll look at something like that moving forward in the future with him.
Other comments or questions?
So, one more question. They will be coming from Colorado to do this for the?
They have an office in Nashville.
They do, okay. All right.
Other comments or questions? Move on to item 5, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute the Highland Avenue Water Main Route Study.
Okay, Highland Avenue will be the next water model project. So this is a contract with SEC to basically lay out the entire route of the full project, but we're only going to construct phase 1 at this time, which is if we ever get across Lowry and under CSX from the North Lowry project, we'll take it there and down Imperial Boulevard to Rock Springs.
Okay. Questions on this?
Have we gone under the railroad yet?
We can't get under Lowry. We've been trying to get under Lowry right there for 6 months.
So that's why we have all those different sites up and down Lowry.
No, that's phase 2. See, 2A and 2B are now going on at the same time. So another contractor is doing 2B, which is including some bores across Lowry. This is the one down there at Nolan where they're trying to get across. Once they get across there, then they have to bore under the railroad tracks and set it up to go to Highland. That's for the next project.
And what's the holdup there?
They keep hitting rock and dirt seams, which makes their head want to come up or go down. They've backed out and pulled in. They've tried different heads. They've tried different methods, so
So
they're,
it's not with CSX themselves,
No, no.
it's just with the actual,
it's with the
process.
contractor and the
Okay.
process. We haven't made it to the CSX board yet.
okay, got it. Okay, item 6 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute change order number 1 for the North Lowry Waterline Phase 2B project.
Okay, yep, this is on 2B, so, there's a couple of bores, one which they had to go ahead and make in front of John's Appliances. And there's an old 1.5 inch, it's a mix of cast iron galvanized line that runs on the north side of Lowry. With the other bores that were already approved in the project, this will allow us to eliminate that line. When they got over there on some of the other bores, the line's leaking, it's falling apart, we need to eliminate it and get it out of the system.
Okay,
Is that from the 30s, 40s,
50s probably.
50s?
Yeah.
okay. Item 7 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to approve the bid tab for Basin A Sewer Rehab Phase 1.
Yep, this is the ARP-funded project, okay? As you'll recall, we just finished not long ago Basin A8 and A9 on the I&I project that was SRF funded. This project is ARP-funded, and we've broken it into 2 phases. This first phase is basically the rest of the old downtown area and the other side of Lowry where Sam Davis, Washington, those places are. That'll be phase 1. We'll come back, we're finishing up getting easements on phase 2, which is the trunk line from just west of Holland all the way to the plant.
Questions on this one? Okay, item 8 is consideration of a resolution relative to a plan of services for property located on tax map 51, part of parcel 8.11. Hey Mitch, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Great.
This is plan services for the next item on your agenda tonight. The town would be providing all services except for water to this location. CUD would be the water provider. At this time, they do not have adequate fire flow. Sewer would be provided via an extension of a wastewater main to the property by the property owner, and Planning Commission has reviewed this and recommended approval of it.
Council, question on plan of services for this project. Okay, then we'll move on to the consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and PRD zoning of property located on tax map 51, part of parcel 8.11, requested by Adam Lawrence with Gamble Design Collaborative on behalf of Michael and Marie Burke, containing 17.42 acres. The property is located at 6304 Lee Road, and this is a second reading.
Yeah, the property is, as I said, 6304 Lee Road, about 800 feet west of the intersection with Lancaster Road, which is part of the Buckingham Place subdivision. The land use plan for this area would support medium-density, single-family residential development. Surrounding zoning, mixture of PRD, Buckingham Hills, Hidden Springs, Weekly Lee, so the first and second phase of this project's development, and PUD of Olive Branch across Lee Road, and RM within Rutherford County. About 17.42 acres are to be annexed, which is the rear half of this property. The front half, which is about 6.38 acres, would remain within Rutherford County's jurisdiction. 47 single-family lots are proposed, and that would equal a density of about 2.7 units per acre. Access to the site would be through Napa Valley Drive via an existing stub street and proposed Hidden Springs development to the west, which once again is that first and second phase of this development. Hidden Springs was annexed in October of 2023. The preliminary plat was approved in April of 2024. And this is phase 3. The proposed lot size, house size, materials, etc. are all similar to the previously approved PRD. All town requirements for setbacks, open space, and parking would be met. Planning Commission reviewed and recommended approval 6 for, 0 against, 1 absent station, and staff would recommend approval.
Questions on this?
Is this a freestanding subdivision? I mean, it's not affiliated with any of the others. The amenities of this one will be for this development alone.
The menus are, yes, for this development, but it's an extension of the subdivision to the west. So you, just like Woodmont has separate phases, it's just another phase to that subdivision.
Other questions? put that on the agenda, and item 10 is consideration of a resolution and memorandum of ordinance 24-26 relative to the annexation of PRD zoning of property located on tax map 51, part of parcel 8.11. We'll put that on the agenda. Item 11 is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of tax map 32, parcels 29.00, 29.02, 29.03, 29.04, and 29.05 to go from R1 to PRD. It's requested by Kyle Griffin with CSDG on behalf of the property owners. The properties requested to be rezoned contain approximately 40.1 acres and are located on Rock Springs Road, and this will be a second reading.
Yep. Addresses for this site is 4701, 4751, and 1803 Rock Springs Road, located between the intersection of Cooks Lane and Walden Road on Rock Springs. The land use plan for this area would support medium density, single-family residential development. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1 and PRD of the Gwynn Farms subdivision and the Cooks Lane subdivision. And across Rock Springs Road is Laverne, R1 zone, 1,800 square feet to about 3,300 square feet. This was an item that was discussed at last council meeting. They have provided a revised, I'm not saying phasing plan, but a home size plan in your packet that you have received. So they've detailed once again the size, how many lots in the subdivision would be at certain sizes, so we have a better idea of that. Side elevations visible from the roadway would have a 36-inch brick stone above the foundation to provide a little bit of an added enhanced elevation for those lots that are visible from the roadway. All town requirements pertaining to open space, parking, and setbacks will be met. Single access point to Rock Springs Road and a connection made to the adjoining Cooks Lane development would provide access to the subdivision. Traffic study shows improvements to Rock Springs Road, including a left turn lane into the development, 11-foot travel lanes, 4-foot shoulders, and a side. And current off-site improvements are necessary to meet fire flow requirements. Planning Commission recommended approval, 7-4, against, with conditions of providing the size of the on and off-site sewer mains, which are being shown on the plans. Page 4.01 to add the comment specifying the HVAC units shall be screened from the right-of-way if the rear of the home along the adjoining residential lot, and include lot 55 with the border, and that is shown on the plans. And with that, staff would recommend approval.
We've had quite a bit of discussion on this project. Questions or Charles?
The developer will, and during phase one, would just be putting in the main road. So during phase one, they will build from Walden Road up to their entrance, which will be 3 lanes with the sidewalk. And then after you put their property.
But our responsibility to go from the end of that
Yeah,
development
ours will go from the
to-
end of their development up to Cooks Lane.
Okay.
And that will become our responsibility.
Okay. And
Okay, I missed all the fun last month, having them have the responsibility of running the sidewalk at least to the end of their property.
It's gonna be once you get out there, the sidewalk will be pretty much going to nowhere. We're gonna run the sidewalks. Well, it's not gonna stop dead. It's gonna come through the development here into Cooks Lane development, then it hooks back into Cooks Lane. It's just taking that corner off there. So the sidewalk would be the only ones it would serve. So that's the way we're making
So on
our
that map
continu-
right there, where will it stop?
It will come up to the road entrance right there on Rock Springs. It'll come up to the road entrance there,
So
and then it
one-
will go
one-
through there out to the end of their property. They will be widening it to 2 lanes with 2 to 4 foot shoulders, because it's going to get very nice. No, it's between there, one of those. So I think that makes a good transition point, going from a more of an urban section into a rural section. That makes a nice transition from that.
There's other homes down between there and Cooks Lane, we're developing also. Will we run a sidewalk across there?
We'll look at it then, if it develops.
I just think we're being, very nearsighted and not running the sidewalk at least to the end of the property. Because at some point, the rest of that will most likely develop. And we'll need a sidewalk.
will,
So we could put that, look at that when we get back with the developer on this to make sure we have enough in there we'll have the 2 lane to turn that 4 foot for like I said, you just, you know, like I said, you don't know what's gonna happen in the future, but if that develops, then the developer coming in there would need to make their sidewalk connections.
But we would be responsible for.
We go ahead and, like I said, their first phase is just to the road, so that's where they'll build their road out widening. The next phase may be in 2 to 3 years as the next phases come along that they'll be due and be ready for.
Council,
Or
I
do
don't
we
know
wanna
about
wait?
you all, but I think we need to for sure go from the end of that property to Cook's Lane, because if not, then we're gonna have done all of that.
Try to get on the developer's schedule like that. Like I said, first it's just up to the side entrance, but then that gives us time, 2 years to an engineering firm, and we'll just meet up there at the match line. So if that's something we want to start looking at getting started.
I guess I just have some concerns, just kind of based upon the citizens that came here with the properties that are adjacent, past the entrance where people would walk to the end. I'm not so sure that that's what they want at this point.
And I have another meeting with the neighbors, August 7th. So I'll be meeting with them again to give them an update on that. But no, they don't want the sidewalks, the rural, and that seems to be the nice break point and keep a continuous sidewalk system through the neighborhoods.
And that's my,
It's on Bayfield Drive. And we got all the way down to the end of, to the curve right there. We should make decisions based on the need of the community. And so today, we need that sidewalk down there. I'd like for you to put a sidewalk down there of the trail to go to Gregory Mill from the post office, from the old folks home, so on and so forth. And
But what you're saying is, if we have already gotten the space, that when it comes time down the road,
We could grade it out behind the curb and gutter 5 foot and have a green space there that if time comes back and we need to make that connection, it'll.
Forefront
Grading
of
there,
their
why not
street.
go ahead and build it? So it's not on our dime.
Okay, so just take the sidewalk out to the end, and then
That's
what do
what
I
I'm
do in my
saying.
roadway project? You want me to,
With the road, you were saying,
It wasn't
Well,
gonna
what
be
we
3
had
lanes,
talked
correct?
about, no, it was gonna be two
It's gonna be
lanes.
2
It was
lanes.
it was gonna go back at the end of that property.
No, I'm talking about from their entrance back to
from
Walmart.
their entrance, it goes back to 2
to
lanes.
soften the traffic, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, to the end of this property, what would need to be, I mean, and keep the road still the 2-lane road?
All right.
I mean,
I think that's what we're saying, right?
Yeah, I don't,
Shoulders for now, and if it develops, we have the developer connect the
when you
sidewalk
say our
in.
section, you're talking about from the end of the development to
Yes,
Cook's
from the end of
Lane.
the project there at the
Yeah, he's
curve
talking about from
on the.
the-
on the Cook's Lane side, because it's stopping,
At
it's
their-
stopping
At the
at
Cook's
the,
Lane
at the
subdivision.
Cook's Lane subdivision, so there's nothing to connect to.
Pay for a sidewalk that we shouldn't have to pay for.
But you're not talking about when we do the road from the end,
From Mabel Farms to Cook's Lane.
from Maple
Yeah.
Farms to Cook Lane, are you asking for a sidewalk there?
Yeah, well, not right now, but when we do that road, yes.
Why?
But that's what he's saying, is they're gonna do the road now as
That's the whole purpose in you wanting the sidewalk now, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's her point. It's
If
like
it stops there, I don't care. I'm just saying
the
that.
sidewalk to nowhere.
But we're talking
have 'em.
about the town's part of picking up the road,
Understand that.
and, so that's what you're saying?
It'll come through this.
You're good.
It'll come through this.
Okay, okay.
Am I being difficult, Mary?
No, but initially I thought you were saying that's what you did want.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay,
Did
good.
I?
Okay, oh, good,
Is that not what you,
I think it should be done by the
Yeah,
road.
okay.
and they are.
what I think you're saying is you want this developer to pay for a sidewalk to the end of their property.
Simple as that.
And then if we're gonna grade the road on our dime, make sure we have the space for a sidewalk in the future.
Keep that more rural feel in regards to the road as it changed from the 3-lane going down to the 2.
Yes.
Okay,
And then we have the room there, like I said, when we get down to Cook's Lane, we'll put in the left turn lane there, because we get back to that space and we have the room to put that left turn lane
Right.
onto Cook's.
Be footing the building.
that's right.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
And the property across the street is for sale, is that not right?
It is,
yes,
Has been for a while.
yeah.
yes.
But you may not have heard this.
that gentleman is willing to give up a portion of the property to.
Right, right in front of Miss
The curve.
Reasonover's, that, where we have that tight S-curve, he's willing to let us come to his side.
Kinda
And if we
straighten that
grade it out, that we can take that curve, a little bit of that curve out of there, and that way we stay out of Miss Reasonover's trees, direction to get the curve out.
We talked a little bit last time about trying to get that easement sooner than not. If it's an easement, is it an easement that we're asking for?
No, it'd be right away.
Right, well, so do we need to get that in writing now?
Case the
That's
prop,
something
case the
I can
property
If he
get
sales.
does sell that property.
That's something we could get with, I mean, we have no plans, so I don't know how much it is, but that's something we may could do a quick and
He gets
just
the
kind of get an
win.
idea. I
Yeah,
mean,
he gets
purchase
a
that
win
right
out of
away.
it too. is what I'm
Right, since he
saying.
has it up for
He
sale.
may just go ahead and grant that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without any real cost or anything, just grant it
We just
and
need a
have
legal-
that.
We just need a legal description to what he's
Right.
saying. We gotta know what we're taking.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a generic that, you
Yeah,
know,
if he sells it, we
once
have an
engineering's
indifferent
complete up to or whatever, something
owner.
like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great since
Maybe
he
get an
is
agreement.
willing.
Couldn't
yeah.
really file that, but we could maybe get an agreement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we
what
got-
I'm thinking, just some kind of agreement, we couldn't, you're right, we couldn't file it because we wouldn't have a line, right? But some sort of agreement and just making sure that he sells the property, he
It carries with the
discloses
deed if
that
he
agreement's
sells it.
part of the deal.
Yeah, if he sells it, it goes with the deed.
Okay, good.
Anything else?
Earlier this month on first reading, though, somebody voted against it. I don't really know who it was, but I just wondered if there was any reason that might
think it-
sway my,
I think it was Raquel.
was it you?
It was me.
Is there anything I need to know that,
No, I still had some concerns with regards to the fence line with Miss Reasonover, because she had indicated at one point that she was good with it, but then she stood up and said she still had some concerns. So I was still trying to figure out what those were, to see if it's an issue that needs to be addressed. And so I voted no.
have you made any progress in that?
Not yet,
Okay.
no. I've
Yeah,
met
what-
with
what
somebody
I-
with the
what I do
developers
know-
again, but not with
Yeah.
her.
What we discussed was that they reduced it from 19 to
12.
12, and they added an extra
Well, now,
10 foot of
I
buffer.
looked at the changes that they had
Yeah.
made, and, I mean, and those people have, you know, really
They have.
come back and made some changes.
Yeah, there
as
could be
we
as much
requested.
as, there could be as much as 30 feet between the houses and her
That's a
driveway.
buffer.
Yeah,
Now, not all that would be buffer, but it could be that much space there.
I think they've upgraded their subdivision in a big way from what originally came in
Yeah.
there.
And all the lots are 10,000 square feet up against her boundary line now.
The larger
And the
ones.
6,000 are in the inside part of the development.
Other questions? Okay, we will put that on the agenda. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 12 is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of tax map 33, parcel 91.00 to go from R1 with ESO to C2 and PRD with ESO, requested by Hollingshead Land LLC. The property requested to be rezoned contains 6.24 acres and is located at the corner of Enon Springs Road West and Gamble Lane, and this is a second reading. Mitch?
Yeah, this property is, like I said, on the corner of Enon Springs Road West and Gamble Lane. It is within the Enon Springs Overlay District. The land use plan for this area is the 24 Gateway Character Area, which would support a mix of uses, both service both local and regional in scale, which would include hospitality, retail, restaurant, and multifamily, all being appropriate for this area. Surrounding zoning, mixture of R1, R3, and C2. 1.03 acres of this property would be set for zoning of C2, with 5.21 acres zoned PRD. As part of the PRD, 37 townhomes would be part of it for a density of about 7.1 units per acre. The townhouse minimum square footage would be 1,750 square feet. All would have two-car garages. The elevations, majorly brick with concrete siding and stone as additional materials to be used. Town requirements, as far as the parking and open space are concerned, would be met. One access point is shown on Enon Springs Road West with two on the Gamble Lane. Planning Commission did recommend approval, 6-4, 1 against, with the following conditions. A Type C buffer being required on the northern and eastern property line. The applicant proposed a Type A buffer with a fence in lieu of the Type C buffer. This request is recommended for approval with the fence required as a 6-foot tall vinyl fence. The applicant has revised the pattern book to reflect this vinyl fence shown within it, so to address that comment. All requirements of the ESO with regard to the color palette, landscaping, lighting, buffering, and screening are required to be met and would be reviewed in detail with the site plan submittal if the rezoning is approved. All the sides of the building must be within 150-foot reach for the fire department. Staff would recommend approval of this request. Revised pattern book, like I said, does show the type A landscape buffer and a 6-foot vinyl fence, which was a discussion point at the last council meeting.
Questions for Mitch on this?
I noticed in it says revised pattern book. Is that revised since first reading, or is that the same as it was from first reading?
Yeah, since first reading, it's been revised, and that, like I said, revision of adding that 6-foot vinyl fence and put a detail in there showing it.
Mitch, what did you just say?
The pattern book's been revised. The pattern book's been revised since first reading.
Here, y'all.
The revision that was made was the addition of that 6-foot vinyl privacy fence, in addition to the type A landscape buffer.
I'm laughing,
What's that?
HG, because I made him say it first twice, and then you made him say it a third time.
Hey, I've been there, y'all, so. I have, this is dense, and I think we all recognize the fact that it is dense. But in discussing it, it falls in the Enid Springs overlay.
Yeah, there was a couple things about this one that I liked. It's mostly brick. It's 1,750 square feet minimum size, and they're 3 and 4 bedrooms, not 2 bedrooms. Sidewalks, 2-car garages. They added things that we just talked about in our planning session, like decorative garage doors and AC units on the back of the houses, etc. So that's the reason that I support it, is it's falling right in line with what we just talked about in our PRD requirements.
Well, but it also fits the overlay. I mean,
It
that's
does,
the-
but based on the stacking or the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the comprehensive
the
plan.
plan of having, denser closer to the road with less dense further away, it's exactly what we said we wanted, really.
Are we
had
comfortable with that
concerns about the
overlay
density.
being like it is?
What do you mean?
With the
comfortable it?
densities such as that?
Well, 2 of us voted.
I was the one
no
that voted against this
Well, I
in
know.
planning.
Because of that, the density.
What's
portion
that?
of this.
I was the one that voted against it in planning, and it's a great product, don't get me wrong, but my whole position on it was, here's another 5 or 6 acre tract with townhomes, and I'm trying to stick to it being consistent of not doing a lot of that. And I know it meets the overlay, but seems like we've heard about putting townhomes on a lot of tight spots. We've all heard it. So I'm just trying to kind of stick to that, and there's been a few that I've been against, and I can't go against what I've been against. So I'm trying to stay consistent. But it is a good product. It makes the transition work, but that's the reason I voted no.
And I guess if it was somewhere else, I would probably vote no, but because it's in the overlay, and that's what we agreed on and we felt like was best for this corridor, was why, and I'll be honest, I mean, it's gonna be one of the better, townhouse developments with, the size. I mean, we've got a lot of houses that aren't
Isn't-
1,700 square feet.
Isn't it basically the same thing, kind of catty corner across the street right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
Sun, over on Big
Yeah.
Sun.
Yep.
Well, we heard Kevin talk about developments going forward. When we had our development meeting,
Yeah.
we talked about maybe it is time to reconsider how those look and include this type of product inside of some of those developments. But just standalones like this, that's the reason I just took the stance I did. I just don't want to put them on every corner where there's 4, 5, 6 acres.
Other comments or questions? Okay, item 13 is consideration of an ordinance amending the text of the Smyrna Municipal Zoning Ordinance, Article 3, General Provisions, second reading.
This is a text amendment to Article 3, Section 3.120 of the zoning ordinance. This would bring us into accordance with state law regarding the vesting of development rights. Currently, the ordinance has a expiration period of 1 year for site plans that have been approved by the Planning Commission, with the option for a 6-month extension to it if recommended or asked by the developer. With this revision, it would push it out to 3 years without a additional period to be added on to that. So With that, Planning Commission did recommend approval, 7 for, 0 against, and staff would recommend approval of that.
Questions for Mitch on this? Okay, we'll get that cleaned up. Item 14 is consideration of an ordinance relative to a budget amendment for the fiscal year 24-25 relative to the natural gas fund. Hey, Rex.
Mayor and council, there's been no changes since the first reading. I have learned the difference between generally accepted accounting principles net position versus statutory net position. And that calculation has been implemented into our budget spreadsheet going forward.
Questions for Rex?
That's one thing I found out, Rex. I'm never too old to learn something new.
I'm right there with you.
Does it change anything on the budget that we put online? You don't have to do anything with that to make this change, do you?
No, no.
Okay.
It's just an additional calculation
Okay.
for the comptroller.
Other questions? Okay. Then we'll move on to item 15, which is consideration of appointment of one member to the town's industrial development board to serve an unexpired term ending in 2027. Amber, I don't think, have we gotten any applications for this as of yet?
The two that
The
are
two?
in your packet.
Okay.
Yes, that's all we
So-
received today.
But nothing new?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And
Okay.
before actually one of them had already had applied, but because of how it was set up in the system, we didn't have it at the meeting, and that's the one I was asking you
Okay.
about.
And just so people know, when you had asked, with our new computer system, we found a couple of glitches that you talked about earlier. And so we were finding that those were not being pushed how they were, because they were coming to like 4 or 5 different people before. So we were able to go back and find those. And Mr. Fee, I will tell you, not only did Amber email that stuff to you, but she came back up here after she'd already gotten home to make sure that you'd gotten your information. So Amber definitely went above and beyond.
I
And
live really far from here. Like 2 red lights. No,
But,
I was happy to do it.
yeah, so, we've got great employees, so, but I have a feeling we're gonna continue, because just like after that, we found that the library board, was not a checkbox. So I think we're gonna find these glitches, as we go along with our new system. So as we find them, we'll get them, fixed as quickly as possible. Okay, so, but if someone is interested in serving on the IDB, you still have time between now and our next meeting to submit an application. Okay. Jeff, I know there were a couple of things under other tonight.
Yes, I had emailed out to council a public comment that had been sent in by Mr. Dempsey regarding the lack of a 3-way stop at Poplarwood and Foxland Drive. And I wanted Tom Rose to kind of speak with you at least of the information that he has found up to this point, but I also wanted to bring it before council just to see if there's any direction that you want staff to look at any further with this area and just have some deliberations on what you'd like to see from us.
Thanks. So background was that we had a request to look at this prior to, quite a few months ago, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so that's what precipitated you all going out and doing this?
Yes, we had a request to look at the intersection of Foxland and Poplarwood, and went out and did some visual observations during the AM peak when schools are coming in and out, as well as during the PM peak. We also have a piece of equipment that we set up to do traffic counts. It was either on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I can't remember which day, but we do those midweek, get a traffic count to see how many vehicles traveling through that area. And MUTCD, the manual uniform traffic control devices, Chapter 2B dictates requirements for an all-way stop conditions at different intersections. So without boring you too much, try not to at least, there's 4 criteria we look at for multi-way stop control. One of them is an interim measure. If it qualifies for a traffic signal and meets the warrants for that, then you can put up an all-way stop until that traffic signal is constructed. There's no traffic signal going at the intersection of Foxland and Poplarwood. Next is a number of vehicle crashes. If you have 5 or more within a 12-month period of time, it would qualify. There was only one, according to Smyrna PD, there's only one reported crash in 2017. Also, the third criteria is during an average 8-hour day, if you have a minimum of 300 vehicles on the main line and 200 vehicles coming to the intersection on the minor street, then it could qualify, and it did not meet those qualifications. I think you might have a separate Excel spreadsheet there. That was our traffic counts that we took from our traffic count device, and it indicates the blue and the orange are the traffic going each direction on Poplarwood, because as you know, Poplarwood comes in and then you turn right and then stay on Poplarwood. So 145 vehicles one direction was the highest average during the 8-hour period going southbound, so from the schools on Poplarwood, and then we had an average of 148 going from Amoville Road westbound on Poplarwood. So you add those two together, that's under the 300 for the main line. Like I said, also you have to have 200 vehicles average per on an 8-hour day, or for an 8-hour period on Foxland, which is highlighted in yellow. We had an average of 15 cars during the highest 8-hour average time frame. So didn't hit the qualifications on that. Also, there's some other criteria you can look at. Need to control left turn, conflicts, there were none. Vehicle pedestrian conflicts, there were none observed. The third one is location where a driver cannot see conflicting traffic. I'll come back to that here in just a second. And then intersection of 2 neighborhood collector through streets of similar design, and where installation of a multi-way stop would improve operational characteristics of no operational issues. So getting back to one of the points under other criteria, one thing that I observed was buses coming from Almaval Road onto Poplar, turning right to go to the school, had to swing out into oncoming traffic to make the turn. There's a large tree and a mailbox that were in the way. So I got with a consulting company, put together kind of a quick set of plans as far as what kind of radius we would need to increase that to. I talked to the homeowner, the person that lives in the house with kind of the reddish colored roof. She was very nice. She was all for it. So I think I know they kind of start out there today as far as marking it out. I think they're going to start the construction early next week to get out there and do the improvements. But the improvements are going to be basically increasing the radius coming in. We've already removed the tree. We're gonna move her mailbox back further, and then increase the radius on that to keep the buses, to let them stay in their lane. Because when I was watching it, the buses had to sit there and wait until it was completely clear, or someone was familiar with that area, knew they had to wait further back for the bus to make that turn. So now it's just gonna make it a lot safer for.
Just taking the curve, softening the curve?
Yes, yeah, just softening it out.
So how long do you expect that to take?
The construction, probably no more than a couple of weeks. I told them I wanted it done before school starts. So my desire is to get it all complete before school starts, but by August 7th.
You know that's the 8th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This is not the old National Highway.
It's a pretty small area, so once they get in there and dig that out and backfill it.
I was gonna add some more, but since you have this picture up, it's a good time. So I met with a couple of citizens that live on Foxland. Also asked one of them to post a post on their neighborhood page, just asking for feedback because of the, this study basically didn't show the need, but we continue to receive a request to look at it. So one of the things that they've identified that was an issue for several folks in the neighborhood is on that same picture, opposite side of where you're making the improvements, you can see there's kind of a big washout right there in
Right.
that corner. So they brought that up, that it's kind of a giant hole, and if you turn and your tires slip off, it's a drop off.
Right.
So I think Jeff probably has already called in a pothole repair for that, but obviously if you're gonna be out there widening the other one, it kinda makes sense to fix that at the same time. But, that was really the only concern that the neighbors had identified. They didn't feel like that, at least the ones that I've talked to so far, they did not raise an issue with, any wait times or anything at that stop sign.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, you're right, there's some drainage issues there. We've gone out there and kind of cleared some debris back before and corrected it, but it builds up and holds water, but we will look at that at the same time that we're doing the improvements on the other side.
I also just forwarded the council actually an email that I received today from another citizen from that Facebook post, who identified the same thing. He also asked about, potentially marking the road with a turning lane, so that people don't cut the corner when they're coming, I guess, left on Poplar Wood towards Anvil Road, to kind of keep them over in their side when you're making that turn. Yeah, just a dotted line stripe. And he suggested potentially, and I don't know where we go with this, but a traffic calming device on Poplar Wood if needed, to help slow cars down if that was an issue. But I don't know that was an issue. I think the bigger issue was the stop. That was that's the email I just sent you guys about 10 minutes ago.
So you said the striping on Poplar Wood turning onto Amaville, just.
No, the Poplar Would turn right there where your yellow line is.
Oh, right there?
basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you forward that to Tom too?
I didn't, but I will.
Yeah. So we initially had a request to look at the three-way stop. Staff went out and looked at it and did not see a warrant for a three-way stop. And then, we let that person know that, and then they've asked again, they sent us, a request again, and I think Jeff forwarded that all to us. So at this point, what's council's wishes?
To me, it makes sense to let Tom make the improvements he's making, and then let's evaluate from there going forward. I mean, if the study doesn't show the traffic counts to support a three-way stop, but we did see a couple things that we can make it better, then let's do what we can do and see how it
Which is
flushes
already
out.
being done.
Yeah, which is already in the way.
And could that ever affect Foxland having to open up?
Having Foxland open up,
Well,
Back to the school is what it is.
yeah.
yeah, that would be
It
the
could
issue with
impact
doing an
some things.
overall study, right? If you
I don't
stand
think
on.
those neighbors per se would want that.
If you stand on Foxland and look at Anvil Road, it's a straight shot from the school to Anvil Road. And, I mean, it looks obvious that would be the easiest way in and out of the school, but the neighbors definitely don't want Foxland opened. And, my understanding from talking to folks that were around when the school was built, it was kind of an agreement that was made that Foxland would stay closed, and the trade-off was this free-flowing turn at Poplarwood to keep cars moving out of the school. So, if we start talking about putting a three-way stop back, then we're kind of taking away the countermeasure that we put in place to keep Foxland closed.
That would back a lot of vehicles up if
Yeah.
they stopped, and all that school traffic coming out there would get backed up significantly.
And then, of course, there's another stop sign, which I don't even want to get into, at the turn, maybe a block from this intersection. So not only do you back them up if you add a stop sign, now you have two stop signs within about a block of each other on the main exit coming out that way.
Tom, talk a little bit about the two stoplights, there at Amaville and then.
Seminary.
And Seminary.
Right.
As well, and with the ITS, and what about December?
So this December, we'll be completing the ITS Phase 3 Reform 5. That's going to bring all of our traffic signals online back to our Traffic Operations Center. Right now, there's two traffic signals in the vicinity of Amaville Road. One is Seminary and Poplarwood. The second one at Amaville and Poplarwood. And they're kind of synced as far as during certain times of day they can sync up, but other times they're in free mode and they're not synced up. So sometimes, especially if it's in the afternoon with a lot of heavy school traffic, or in the morning, it can get backed up. And I watched it get backed up from Amaville to Foxland, Poplarwood intersection for about one cycle. After that, it clears out. But when we get it online with ITS, we'll be able to check that a lot better and know if we need to make some subtle changes to it to help keep that flowing and keep vehicles moving off of Poplarwood and not back up.
And about how many houses are we talking about that are over on the Foxland side?
So Foxland only has one way in and one way out currently. Just comes up to that intersection of Poplarwood and Foxland. Right now, I counted 52 homes. I think it was 54 buildable lots, so you're going to get about 2 more homes back in there. Very little traffic in and out.
Okay. Well, and I want to make it clear, it is not the intention of this council to open up Foxland. That is not anything that we would want to do. But I do think if we ended up doing some sort of study, if the citizens on that wanted us to look at that, I think we would have to look at doing a study of that entire area. I mean,
Right.
and bringing the school into it, because I mean, it obviously would affect their traffic as well. So, but I do not want to give any impression that it is this council's desire to do that. I do wonder if a study was done, would that be what that would show?
Yeah, that's
So.
possible.
Okay, council, are you all good with,
I didn't even know about the traffic signal portion. I knew we had ITS. I didn't know that was gonna be in December.
Yes.
So that just adds more opportunity for improvement.
yeah,
After this is complete, then in December, we have better signalization. You know, I don't think it
Will the
makes sense.
ITS go online all at one time, or will it be a gradual thing?
No, it should go online all the time. We do have what's called a burn-in phase, so typically around like probably your end of October, maybe November timeframe, we'll be done with everything, and then there's going to be that period of just check in, make sure everything's coordinating and functioning correctly. We'll be working things in the traffic operations center, checking, make sure it's received out in the field and back and forth. So there's going to be that burn-in phase, but end of December, it's expected to be complete.
So will it be like Skynet and self-aware?
Yes, yes, that's when the robots will come and.
Tom, in
Yeah,
layman's
team
terms, just in layman's terms, in like 15 seconds, will you tell the public what ITS is, why it's coming online in December, and what the advantages of it are?
Okay, so it has nothing to do with Skynet, but ITS stands for Intelligent Transportation System, and basically what that does is through fiber or cell phone connection, it connects all the traffic signals that we have in Smyrna. And there's traffic, there are cameras out there we do not record in Public Works, and so we don't keep any recordings of that. But what it does is it allows our traffic operator to see if there are any problems at certain intersections immediately. So even if it's the middle of the night or middle of the day, if there's a signal that hasn't cleared an intersection of cars, say a left turn movement hasn't completely cleared the queue, after 2 cycles, he gets an alert and tells him, hey, look at this intersection, it could be a problem. And he can actually bring it up a lot of time on video camera and physically see what's going on there. A lot of times in the morning, especially like the Eden Springs and Old Nashville Highway intersection, when school's in and you have a lot of people on Rocky Fork, you'll watch that intersection closely to make sure, maybe add a few seconds to allow vehicles to leave during the fireworks show. Jonathan, our traffic operator, was here working, coordinating with PD to make sure that people got out as quickly as possible and keeping those greens on the main line to flush vehicles out as quickly as possible. So basically, I guess it went more than 15 seconds. Very sorry. But it's a pretty intricate system.
Amber, you keeping the clock on him, weren't you?
You got 3 minutes. Basically, it lets us look at all the traffic signals and make corrections when there's a problem, and we know when there's a problem before someone calls us in and says, hey, this isn't working.
So this has been in the works for a while.
Yes, several years.
It's coming to the point now that it's almost going to go live.
Yes.
And we will have an ability to control traffic in a much better way
Yes.
than what we have currently.
Some of it's already.
I did it in
Man,
15
can I
seconds.
record that? Can I get that recording? I need to.
Some of it's already live though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's.
There's about
the rest of
32
it's
signals
going on,
live, right.
And just to be clear, would you classify this as a traffic control system?
Yeah, you could qualify as a traffic control.
Okay. There was a comment that we didn't have a traffic control system. I just wanted to make sure that,
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely control traffic with it.
yeah.
Earlier you were discussing something and you said it was running free. Does that mean that it's just being triggered by the sensors?
Yes, yeah, there's detectors, so if there's no vehicles on the minor street, the side street, it'll continue with the green on the main and until it gaps out. So that may be like 50 or 60 seconds, and then it automatically forces the side street to give them a green just in case the detection goes down. And that's what's considered running in free mode.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
Other questions?
Just a comment, I agree with Steve. I think we need to do this sweeping turn. Let's see what happens. And then if we find out there are issues after Tom and Charles go back out there, then I think we have to look at everything globally out there. And, you know, I got 110% faith and confidence in you and Charles as far as traffic and engineering of the roadways and, you know, making sure things are flowing correctly.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Other questions or comments? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay. Jeff, anything else under other with you?
Nothing else under other for me.
Okay. Steve?
Yeah, so let me give you an update kind of on the library stuff. So a couple of the points that Mr. Fee brought up. First, Mr. Fee, I don't know who said at July meeting there was no applicants, but I wasn't at that meeting, so I assume it's just misinformation. I had mentioned before we had an applicant, but we hadn't moved on it because we were waiting. June 30th, myself and Lori Cantrell rolled off. So we technically did not have an open position until June 30th. It's often we interview for positions and then hold them until there's an opening. So June 30th was the earliest that anyone could have been appointed or would have been an open spot. But one of the things that has been in the works, which we talked about, I think, at the last council meeting, was Mayor Reed and Mayor McFarland had sent a letter to the state. What is Trey Hargett's position?
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State. Sorry, that's what I was trying to get out. Sent a note asking if we could extend a couple of positions because there's a kind of a plan or a process in place to look at restructuring and expanding or changing library services for the entire county. Myself and Tim Bowling were scheduled to roll off, and because of the time that we've been involved, 6 years each, they didn't want to lose the knowledge and the experience. Everyone else on our library board, with the exception of maybe Raleigh, I think, has only been on there a year or less, so they're all relatively new. So we didn't want to lose the only experience we had if we're going to go into this conversation about library structuring and library future. Initially, Trey said that we could stay on and that we could extend those positions till December. In the last week or 10 days, they've come back and said that they've reviewed it and they don't feel like they can extend those positions, that it might call into question any votes that we participated in. So they've kind of reversed plan and said, no, now you can't stay on. So that's all happened in the last week or so. In the meantime, I've also talked to Mayor Carr and Mayor McFarland, and there is some discussions at their level talking about reducing the potential board from 11 to 7, which is allowed by state law, and changing the makeup of the board from 4 county members, 4 Murfreesboro members, 2 Smyrna members, 1 Eagleville, down to 2, 2, 2, and 1. 2 Murfreesboro, 2 county, 2 Smyrna, and 1 Eagleville. So obviously, if that changes things, that structure of the board obviously changes the number of people and how many each person has. There's also been a discussion with them about ensuring that we appoint town representatives that are potential leadership employees, like a town attorney or a town assistant manager, and have one of them on the board. As you know, because you do the charity assistance stuff, this is the largest donation that we make as a town to a nonprofit, over $400,000. And so making that kind of a contribution to a nonprofit without having, I guess, leadership oversight for a long time, we didn't even have a council on that board. I think that would be a little reckless on our part. So I think we need to have either someone from the council or someone from the town that's in a leadership position on that board at all times. So that's kind of where we are. The one applicant that we did have, she did apply in March. I interviewed her along with former town manager Brian Hercules. I told her then that the position wouldn't be open until the end of June. So I'm not sure why she thought, or if she thought it was going to be before then, but that's just a misunderstanding, I think, either on my part or her part. But when we talked to her, we explained to her the positions would be coming open at the end of June, and that she would be considered, wouldn't be appointed until at least that time, if then. So right now, we're trying to figure out what's going to happen. The library board still hasn't even started the process of looking for a director either, because we just don't know what it's going to look like. There has been discussions about potentially eliminating the Rutherford County Library system and moving all those employees back to the towns. I don't know that that's the plan at this point. I don't think anybody's really gotten far down that path, but that's been a discussion. So if we did that, we wouldn't need a director. So we've elected not to go trying to hire a director just to find out that they're going to be let go. So that's kind of, there's a lot of stuff up in flux right now, and that's part of the issue. The board, I know, is operating at, I believe, 7 members out of the 11 right now. Murfreesboro has an open position, Eagleville has an open position, and now Smyrna has 2. So that's 4, so I guess that's 8 positions out of the 11. They can operate with a quorum, I think, down to 4. So they've got plenty to continue operating, but right now, we do not have anyone, so we do need to appoint folks to the library, but we don't have anyone just as of June 30th.
And help me.
My last meeting was the meeting in June.
Help me remember, state law determines how they're chosen, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so if we wanted to make sure either a council member or somebody from staff was on there, could we?
Yeah, state law actually even states that no more than one council member or legislative body member can be on there. So it's designed anyway with the intent of a council member if council wants to do that. You just can't do more than one, but.
Per body or like, could Murfreesboro have one
Yes,
and
yes,
we have
per-
one? So like
yeah.
we couldn't have 2
The
council
county could do
members.
one.
Gotcha.
I assume that's related to the sunshine law, right? If 2 of us were on there,
That's-
then we would be
that's right.
deliberating potentially, right?
Okay, okay. So I'll be honest, I think we all would agree it's been a huge help in having Steve be a representative on that board, and whether it's a council member or somebody from staff that's on that board, I think it would be a real benefit, especially with the amount of money that we're talking.
So I'm just trying to get clarification. You said that at least only one person from the governmental body can be on it, but it doesn't have to be?
From the legislative body.
From
You
the
don't have to do it.
legislative, okay.
But if you do choose to put a member of the council on there,
It
you can only do
be
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to make sure I'm
Yeah,
understanding.
previously we never had one, and we didn't make a change to the bylaws or anything when we did add a council member. But I know Smyrna and Murfreesboro kind of chose to do that at the same time. Sean Wright is their council representation. And prior to that, they had Madeline Harris on. So I think they've always had a council member on the board. But until I came on, I don't think we ever have.
And we appreciate you being on there.
Well,
Absolutely.
honestly, it was much more enjoyable than I thought it would be from the beginning. I thought I was going to have to read a lot of books, which I do read, but I was like, they're going to make me read one every month or something. It's like a book club. I didn't want to be a member of a book club.
So I guess number 1, is there a council member that's interested in serving on the library board? Don't everybody look at their belly button?
I'll just say
I'm
no.
already on board. I'm already on board.
I can tell you, until last year, it was a very peaceful, quiet board. In the last year, it's gotten pretty hectic.
So I think we're all in agreement that we definitely need to get representation, but we also need somebody from leadership to serve on that board in addition to a citizen member. So and look at all the staff
I
out
know,
there.
they're all looking at their belly buttons.
They're all looking down as well.
I was
If
thinking
anybody's
Mr.
a
Spearman
te-
would do a wonderful job.
If anybody's a teacher, they'll understand, they'll look at your belly button, so.
We know what that
You know what
means.
that means. So Jeff, is that something you could look into maybe for, in regards to a staff member that might
Sure.
be? Okay. And then we also have one other position that's open, so Amber, if y'all could, and I know
Angela Frederick.
Angela
Yeah.
Frederick had, oh yes, I read that. Angela Frederick had applied, but let's also put it out there, because we've not put it out there in the last little bit, that there is a position open.
Do you want to, are we gonna try to put that on the workshop for September to allow time to get applicants? Or do you wanna go ahead and put it out now and try to appoint somebody at the August meeting? When are we?
It's council's.
Well,
I don't know.
I feel like from what all you've told us, that everything is tabled at this point until
Yeah,
the major decision is deciding is it gonna stay in Rutherford County or if it's gonna
Right.
go back to the municipalities.
But they're still meeting.
Yeah, they are still meeting,
Yeah.
but Shane has actually made the statement that he's not going to fill his position until all of that is decided. And so
Okay.
we've kind of been thinking the same thing, but it really wasn't a conversation until June 30th, because we
Okay.
still had 2 people until June 30th.
But we have no representation
Right.
at present, so we
Correct.
at least need to fill one,
I
is
think
that
we
what
at
you're
least need to
thinking?
put, I think we at least need to put somebody from
Put that on the agenda for
staff
August.
on
Yeah,
there
one.
for
At
August.
least
One other
one.
thing I mentioned, the first iteration of the plan had 7 members, and Smyrna only had 1 appointee. So I asked for 2,
Okay.
which Joe and Mayor Carr and Shane have agreed that that made sense, and they were okay with that. But that was also in the conversation part of the time. We thought it was only gonna be 1 position for a while. And that's the other reason why it was like, well, it doesn't make sense to appoint someone if we're just gonna have to replace them with a council member or a town person. So there's just a lot that's still being decided. And honestly, Jeff's been involved in those meetings from a attorney perspective for the town of Smyrna. I know Brian participated some before he left, but it's kind of been really the county and Murfreesboro really kind of driving the conversation. They obviously fund the vast majority of that. The county funds 60%, and then Murfreesboro has multiple locations, so they fund, between the two of them, it's probably 80% of the budget, maybe 85% of the budget, so.
And also to let you all know, I've not sat in on the meetings because Steve has been in the meetings with Mayor Carr
That's right.
and with Mayor McFarland, and I obviously couldn't be there because of sunshine law. So Steve has been doing that up to this point. Now that Steve's had to roll off the board, which again, we just found out Jeff talked to
Ms. Huddleston.
Ms. Huddleston.
Let
Go
me
ahead.
add to that. So we did, when we talked to Ms. Olson, we found out that I can serve in an advisory role, just not on the board. So if I wanted to stay involved in those planning meetings, or if you wanted me to as your delegate, I can still do that. I just can't participate in the function of the library board.
Which I think is really important. Steve's got the knowledge in regards to how things are moving forward. He would not be one of our 2 possible people. It would just
This would
be
be a voting member.
advisory.
Yeah.
But the other thing I think that's really important is if we do choose to pick a second person to go on, they need to understand it may totally change, that it may be for just a short period of time.
Yeah, I
So-
think the plan was to try to have something in place by January 1. So that, the original plan was to extend myself and Tim Bowling until December 31st. So to have a plan by January 1st.
How long is the term?
It was a 3-year term,
3-year term.
and you can serve 2 terms. And then you have to roll off for 3 years, for 1 term at least.
Does everybody come off
must
right
be
now?
Yeah, I was gonna say, he's
No, no, no,
interested.
no, no,
That's what I was thinking.
Jerry,
Does
you do
it-
a great job.
Here's where I was
agree.
headed to this, okay, I was headed somewhere with this, okay? Is it good to have them, both of ours on the same term time, coming off at the same time?
No, it's not ideal. Ours originally wasn't that way, but we had several people quit and had to fill terms in the middle.
Okay.
And then they changed the board structure about 2-3 years ago when we went up to 11. It was I think 8 before. And so that's kind of what got us out of sync. So We probably
But
should
are we
look
out of
at.
sync, or are they appointed at the same time, or is some shorter time limits
No,
for our
right-
two? Do
I'll
you
have to
know?
get back to you.
No, right
on
now, I
that.
believe
Right now, it
they're
should be,
both-
they both that came up and.
Yeah, they're both end of term.
Okay.
Yeah, Lori was finishing Tansy's position, Tansy Rayner's position, so her term actually ended June 30th, and then mine also
Okay.
ended June 30th.
So
So we
let's
probably
say,
need to do a 1.5,
Yes.
or a 2-year and a 3-year, or 1 year and a
Right.
3-year, or something like that.
Well, but statute makes where it is, so you know, whenever you appoint them, that's gonna be a 3-year term.
but could we appoint them could we appoint them for a shorter amount of time and say you're gonna be this amount? No? Okay. So I think you can see there's lots of questions still to be kind of hammered out. Are
You
you
could,
all
if they were
now-
replacing someone, yes. If there's a remainder of a term, then obviously yes, but these terms are gonna run from, July
July
1st
1.
to, so whoever we appoint, they would serve until, June 30th of 2027.
But that may be something during the discussions with the library board that we need to talk about, that needs to be discussed so that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't know if that's a library, state, I think that's a state mandate.
Yeah.
The state kind of governs, because we're part of the regional library system, they kind of govern this part.
But
I don't
could
think
you,
it's part of
starting, since the board's gonna kind of be restructured, could you have discussion with the state that,
Well, yeah,
the-
if we reduce it down to 7, then it might we might be able to eliminate one of the Smyrna positions, and then we take one of the Murfreesboro positions, which is in an off cycle, right? So we can
Right.
probably do something
Okay.
to make the cycle split if we're gonna reduce it from 11 to 7. But again, I don't even think that's the discussion right now. There's not really been a decision one way or the other what's gonna happen.
so how do you all feel about us appointing whoever the staff member's gonna be in August, and then keep it open so we can see how, if people want to fill the community portion, and keep that open and appoint that in September?
Sound like a good plan.
Y'all good with that?
Yep.
And
Okay.
and if it looks like anything's gonna change, hopefully 60 days from now, we have a better view.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we've made headway with that. Anything else under other? No? Okay. Hal? Anything?
Are you gonna say no?
That look on the mayor's face doesn't look like I can.
If you wouldn't, we were.
Let's see here. March of 1991, I took a job as assistant pro at Smyrna Golf Course. Spent about 4 years there as an assistant pro, had a short stint with the Tennessee PGA, and came back as the head pro director of golf at the golf course. Let's see, 31 years and 2 months. And when Barbie and I moved here, we had 2 young sons. We now, in December, we had our 11th grandchild. We're a product of Smyrna. The town of Smyrna has raised us. This job has provided for 2 of my children got degrees from MTSU. The middle one was a rebel. He went to Tennessee Tech, got his degree there. But we have prospered and been a part of Smyrna. I'm very proud of what I've done at the golf course. I still love the job, but it's time. So October 13th, as Rex said today when he called me, so you're hanging up the cleats. So October 13th will be my last day. And I couldn't have done it without the support from you, Mayor, and all the time that you've been on the board, and also from the council. Those of you sitting here for the last few years have been very supportive. I've really only had one minor speed bump in this 32 years, but somebody told me one time, would you rather have just one during that whole time or have one every 4 years? Well, I only had one. But I'm very proud of what we've done at the golf course. So we've got a great staff. We're doing very well right now. So it's time for me to hang up the cleats. I appreciate you guys.
Hal and I had a discussion the other day, and I was really, really sad when he called me, but I'm really happy for you and for Barbie both, and for the kids and the grandkids. it's rare nowadays that people stay for as long as you have stayed and make a career out of it. You are a huge part of this team and what has made this community a great place to live. And so I appreciate the job in which you've done and what you've done to add value to our community. And I wish you nothing but the best. We know that you're just a phone call away.
Absolutely.
That you're not going far. I know there's been many a times I've called you and you'll be, I'm in a tree stand.
But I talked to you.
That you have. You've always talked to me. You've always talked to me. So, we hope you have a great time in whatever this next chapter brings for you and Barbie.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Council, anything else?
Well, Hal, you know, I've been a frequenter of your golf course for a lot of years, even before I ever sat on this council. You've kept that course always looking good. I remember, I think I relate to the speed bump you're talking about. We were all on council at that time, and if it's the one I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
you handled it with class and integrity, and this council was behind you the whole way. I think you knew that. So I appreciate you personally as a friend, but I appreciate you as a golf pro out at the Smyrna Golf Course, Smyrna National, and what you've done to that course, what you've done on behalf of the city, what you've done in your church, in your family, being members of our community here. You are a stand-up guy. You're a gentleman.
Thank
You
you.
always have been, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
How I started my first round of golf was at that golf course in 1986. So just a few years later, you were there, and it's always been my home course because I grew up here. And I've seen it change a lot. I've seen the addition of the executive. I've seen quite a bit of changes that you've implemented, which have made it even more fun and more enjoyable. I still play it, try to play it once or twice a week. So you're going to be missed. You've done an excellent job. I don't think you get enough credit for what you've done. The golf course is in the black, and it has been for the last several years. There was a lot of years it wasn't, and you took it on the chin when that was happening, but it really wasn't much you could do about it. You were doing everything you could to manage it, and I think you did a great job through
Thank you.
the ups and the downs. And I really appreciate you. You're going to be missed a lot, so thank you.
Thank you.
He scored my eagle, by the way.
Yeah.
He did score my eagle.
But did he see it?
I had witnesses.
Yeah.
He was a deacon at the time, I had to believe.
Yeah. But you
I'm
did
sure I'll
score
be
it.
getting.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be getting one on the.
She doesn't even know what an eagle is, Hal.
She's thinking there's going to be a bird
She
in a
thinks
tree
she's watching a
somewhere.
video of a nesting project going on.
Yeah, I was just gonna add my thanks and appreciation to you, Al, and I'm happy for you. I think as you go into retirement, it's kind of that next chapter and, you know, just that focus on the family, which I know is very important to you. So thanks for all you've done, and thanks for the legacy you set for the town.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Al. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all that you've done to improve and make the golf course what it is, so. And we'll save the best for last, or the longest talking for last, I'm not sure.
I don't know if retirement benefits includes it, but I feel like Hal should get free golf for life or something. So Jeff, you might want to see if.
Do I have a second?
You shouldn't have to.
All in
pay.
favor?
Al, you know exactly how much I know about golf.
No, but you've been a staunch supporter of foot golf
Absolutely.
from day one, from the ribbon
Absolutely.
cutting.
But you know, it
And,
really gets down to looking at the blank ink on the ledger. You know, that's pretty darned impressive. And, you know, we've watched over the years as you struggled to do it and, you know, and finally put it to that point. And that's greatly appreciated. And I hope your successor can, you know, keep up the standards in which you have laid out in front. But as far as, well, we've been in this thing a long time together, and I'll just tell you, I highly recommend that retirement stuff.
I appreciate it. All right, Jerry, you're last.
Hal, of course, I don't play like the rest of them do,
Yeah.
but I probably was over there longer than any of them. I played when the clubhouse was over on the other place.
Yeah.
So that's been a
You remember when
long
it was
time.
farmland? Don't you?
I do remember. No, I don't remember that.
Mr. Hale, Sergeant Hale.
Golf pro, yeah.
But anyway, no,
Sandy's
thank you
great
for what you've done.
Thank you.
It really looks good, and appreciate it. And then like HT said, the retirement part is a pretty good gig. So enjoy it. You've earned it.
Thank you, guys, means a lot.
Thank you. And we'll do some sort of event as we get closer to October. Charles?
No, I'm good.
Carl?
You want me?
I would like to say to Carl, thank you and your team for all you did. I know I sent an all users email out with the issue that the CrowdStrike had across the entire world. And I woke up that morning and called Jeff, and I'm like, Jeff, are we okay? Jeff calls me back, he goes, we're okay, it's all good, we're good. Carl and his team are on it. So you all came in overnight, you made sure that when staff got here that we were ready to serve citizens, and we appreciate all your hard work, so thank you. Jeff Craig? Tom?
Haven't you had enough, Tom?
IT system first too.
Hey, this isn't gonna take long, and I don't have a presentation. Just want to let you know that there was a road failure on Rock Springs Road near the intersection of Montgomery Way. We got with utilities department, ourselves, streets department got out there, and a contractor who had been working in that area. They are going to be shutting down Rock Springs Road Rock Springs Road at Montgomery Way tomorrow morning, starting about 6 in the morning. And we're going to be detouring people on Blair Road up to Waldron Road to go to around that so they can get equipment in there to open it up and make that repair. But did go out earlier today on road closures email, so just want to let everybody be aware of that.
That did have a lot of work being done over there anyway, did it not?
Yeah, it did in the past. Now we've had an issue with just the collapse of it.
Yeah.
Any estimation on how long the work will take?
I'm not sure. It's probably going to take most of the day, hoping that they'll be back up and running by 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow, but I can't promise that. That's all I got.
Okay. Mike? Rex? Jeff?
All is good.
All's good. Mitch?
I just want to let you know I'm here for a while, so no retirement in the future.
Oh, no retirement in the future, and you just had a birthday too, so, yeah, good.
All good, though, thanks.
He
Okay.
told me, yes, he told me before the meeting he had 40 more years before he
40 more
retired.
years? Great. Christy?
He'll still only be 60.
Tomorrow's a big day, the Olympics are starting.
Olympics are starting tomorrow. I'll be honest, I'm a junkie in regards to the Olympics, so I do enjoy seeing those inspirational stories and cheering on. I do feel like with as much division as there is in our country, with the Olympics, it's the one thing that we all can get behind and cheer on our home team, so.
I saw the announcement that the Winter Olympics are coming back to the United States.
Oh, wow, cool.
2028, I think.
Yeah. Mike? Todd? Chief? Heather? Amberly?
I do have a little something that I was going to share since nobody's giving y'all good news tonight. I thought that I would. We had a citizen comment come through. We have a form online, and for those that may not want to come and speak at the town, but they want to share a little, news, whether good or bad, indifferent, those go to a certain few people here in the town, and I really like this one that came through. It's from a Lorraine Flegel. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but she is out of Laverne. She wanted to give positive feedback about the RAD program that we do down at the police department. She said that her daughter and her attended, and it was an incredibly empowering experience. Captain Bobby and his team's enthusiasm and expertise really stood out. They not only taught practical techniques effectively, but also managed to create a supportive environment where everyone felt comfortable learning and participating. She was impressed how Captain Bobby's team tailored the class to fit the needs and skill levels of the participants. The approach made it clear that they genuinely care about equipping people with essential skills for personal safety. And she believes that the RAD program makes a significant difference in our community, and asks that we please pass along thanks and appreciation to Captain Bobby and his team for their outstanding contribution to promoting safety and well-being in Smyrna and the surrounding cities. So just wanted to share that. If you will pass it along down the road. And that's all I have tonight.
Jeffrey L.?
Yes, and we receive a lot of accolades for the RAD class. I do appreciate Captain Gibson doing that. I don't think I'll call him Captain Bobby, but Captain Gibson for doing that. I think of Ricky Bobby when I hear it.
I just wanted it to be in her words.
Yeah. So, and Hal, thank you. We had a great discussion just a couple weeks ago, or I guess about 2 weeks ago, and got to learn even more about Hal than I knew before. And interesting guy, but I appreciate all you do, Hal. Two, I want to announce Peach number 1. My dad turned 81 this past week, and so a shout out to him. Mr. Spearman let me know that Anthony Roddy, who works for us in probation, prayers go out to him. His father passed away yesterday, so our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. And then I have some slides. So Smyrna Police Department is proud to participate in Operation Southern Slowdown. And HG, this is not a class for Mitch, speech class, but it is a traffic safety campaign that will increase speed enforcement on major highways and high-risk locations in July. Smyrna Police partnered with Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, Murfreesboro Police, and Tennessee Highway Patrol for the safety campaign.
Took us all that long time to get Kevin Rigsby broke in. Now we're gonna have to work on him.
That's right, that's right. I tried to teach him the dialect. And we have the golf scramble. Town of Smyrna is hosting its 12th annual Smyrna Golf Course Scramble on Friday, August the 16th at the Smyrna Golf Course. Teams are available now through August 13th. All proceeds will benefit the local United Way. For more information, contact HR Director Jeff Craig at jeff.craig@townofsmyrna.org. And a great time will be had by all.
Is that it?
That is it from me.
Ben? Raquel?
On one slide. Join us for National Night Out on August the 6th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Smyrna Police Department. You can tour the building, meet the staff, and register for giveaways. Come by and see us for this family-friendly event. So hope you all can come out and participate. That's all I've got.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it.
They
Okay.
are taking school supply donations as well, I think.
Are they?
Right?
Are they?
I
Are they
believe.
taking
Yes.
donation
Yes.
of school
Tom says
supplies?
yes.
Okay,
I didn't hear what you said.
I'm sorry.
He needs
So
the
as-
slow down class.
As Mark has pointed out, there will be a place for donation for school supplies.
Yes.
If you want to bring some out, we'd love to be able to give those to our students. So,
I have a slide also. There we go. Mark your calendars for Saturday, August the 10th for the annual Depot District Barbecue Festival. Food, live music, and family fun. They will close down Front Street and have a bunch of barbecue and a contest. Should be loads of fun. Also, Hal, I'm looking forward to the golf scramble this year.
How he's lying, he's not. He's already said he's not.
But we will appreciate you being there once more again. Congratulations.
Hal, ask him what an eagle is.
It's 2 under. Is it not 2 under? 2 under.
under, not over. Under.
You have been studying, my friend.
What can we say? I don't know. A bogey's 1 over, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Not that I care.
Nobody on our team ever does
In
that.
high school, we thought a bogey was something else.
Okay, tomorrow night, North Rutherford Soccer will be celebrating 40 years with food and festivities and some speakers. Speakers will start at about 7. Gathering and food will be 6. And 40 years that we've had soccer in Smyrna. Outside of that, be kind and shop local. That's all I've got. Thank you.
I do want to say, HG won't say this, HG was the driving force of getting soccer in
A
Smyrna.
lot of people.
There has to be somebody that heads it up. And so, to think how many kids have gone through that program, is pretty amazing. I think you had the foresight to know how important soccer was gonna be, because I'll be honest, when we were younger, it was not.
I never kicked a soccer ball till I was at a coaching clinic, actually.
Right. So, thank you for all that you did to bring that sport to Smyrna and push those that were sitting in our positions to recognize how important that it was going to be, so.
You know, I'm gonna speak up and say this, Coon, your daddy, really was a major help in getting it started and helping to get our fields ready. We started at the cow field on Sam Davis Road at Smyrna Elementary School.
Yeah. So.
Parks
kudos.
Department at that time was, they came in these big red trucks that said Crosland Supply on the side of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we appreciate everything that you did and those that were around you on the team to make soccer a reality here in Smyrna, so. Tim?
Sure, I also have a slide tonight. I have a slide tonight.
There you go.
Here we go. New traffic signals with flashing yellow left turn. The arrows have begun operating at multiple intersections. The new signals have installed at intersections to improve efficiency. And for a complete listing of intersections and to learn more, visit townofsmyrna.org. Mitch, Chief Dwyer asked me to remind you that green is go, yellow stop, red stop, and yellow does not mean go faster. It's caution. Slow down.
But that you can turn left.
You can turn as long as it's
As long
flashing.
as the flashing
And you're
yellow
using
light.
caution.
Yes.
No stopping.
Are you good?
No. Did I get him, Chief? Yeah, we're good?
Okay. Jerry?
Okay, I've got a slide also. Okay, the Top Gun Night Run is about a month and a half away. And for those of you that have never done it, it is a very fun time. There's going to be vendors. It's a 3.7-mile course that will carry you through the airport, the golf course, and finish up at the Jeff Coos Memorial. If you would like to sign up, we have a limit of 650 people. And there's a website on the town's website that they can do it. Also, I just checked, and if you Google Jeff Coos Night Run, it'll carry you there as well. So there's several ways to get to it. So do come out. Again, if you don't like to walk, you don't like to run, just come out and enjoy the fun, because there'll be a lot of vendors there and just a lot of people in that area. So it's a very, very fun night. It's one of the things I look forward to every year. So I hope you can join us. Starting next Wednesday, we have some visitors coming in from Zama, Japan. Our sister city. We're hosting about 14 students and 6 chaperones. We're having the welcome ceremony next Wednesday night, and then for the next about week and a half, there'll be a lot of activities that they're going to be joining some students that we have here in Smyrna, in the Smyrna school systems. Each day we have been working, the committee's been working on this now for quite some time. We're meeting a couple of times every month. And the schedule for about a week and a half is full from about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 10 at night. So there's gonna be some tired kids and parents and all over after that. But if you see them around, just give them a good Smyrna welcome. They are really looking forward to it, and our kids are looking forward to it as well, that they've come in, and then we'll be going next year to visit them. So we do welcome them and look forward to the visit.
Steve?
Just a couple of things. I also have a slide. Looks like it's already up there. Congratulations to the Vintage Stone Race? Is that right?
Trace.
That should be
Trace.
Trace. Yeah, I was like, that's not right. On their recent grand opening. It is a new apartment complex located off White Birch Avenue in Smyrna. You may or may not have seen it. It's actually up and open, and there's quite a few people living in it. I think they reached 50% occupancy the day we were there. But the reason I say you may not have seen it is because it's kind of hidden. It's kind of off Sam Ridley, behind Raising Cane's and Chicken Salad Chick, and it's behind that giant rock in the cemetery that's back there. I'm going to be honest, I went back there. That's the first time I'd been back there since they started construction. It is a very, very nice facility. They have cabanas at their pool that residents can rent that include refrigerators and TVs. They have a really nice lounge pool with lounge chairs in the pool. Clubhouse that opens up the whole side, so you can, I mean, it's amazing.
They have storage units that.
They do. You can rent a storage unit on site. So if you live in an apartment there and need a storage unit, you can rent a storage unit on site. You can rent office space. So if you live there and don't want to work in your apartment, you want to come down to kind of a mobility center, you can do that. So very, very, very nice. Very a much higher scale product than probably any of us even anticipated. So very nice. Carl, a lot of folks probably know this, some maybe don't, but for 23 years I was in the IT industry, IBM and Nissan IT, and during a career like that, there's usually a handful of things that happen that are kind of something you hope never happens again, but they kind of make your career. I had a couple of water main breaks and a power failure, and 9/11 was one of those events that I had to work through. So Monday was a very busy day for you guys. Sunday night, thank you for all you've done. I read your synopsis of all of the work, and as I was reading, I was thinking, oh man, I'm glad it wasn't me. I'm glad it wasn't me. So I can appreciate everything you guys went through and all the work that you did. The fact that you had to recover 40 some odd servers and do it all in a matter of hours is impressive, not to mention all the workstations and everything else you had to work on. So thank you, thank your team. Even the one gentleman who was on vacation that took a phone call at 2 a.m., thank him too, because that's the kind of dedication to your job that is often not seen. So thank you.
Carl, you were on my list as well. I just want to thank you guys while we're doing that. And I know you mentioned James Scott was a big help during the night and so forth. And as a major event, you guys made it look kind of seamless, to be honest with you, for us. So thank you for all you did. Got a few things. I do have a slide up here. Early voting ends on Saturday. This Saturday is the last day you can early vote. You can do that right down here behind City Hall. They do ask that you use the Pinto Drive ingress and egress there to avoid the parking lot in the front. Just come around to the back and come in Pinto Drive and be easy in and easy out. I've done that. It's not backed up. There's not a lot of lines. The traffic's not bad. So get in before Saturday, but please vote. Do all you can to exercise your right to vote. Amber and Casey, I want to say thank you to you guys. I know you're working seamlessly to try to get this census done. I was in here the other day for a meeting, and they had mailboxes going out the door. I don't know what they were doing, but they had an event they were going to get more head counts from. So you and Casey are doing a lot of work there, and there may be more, but I know that you guys are involved, so thank you both for doing that. Back to school, believe it or not, is not too far away. And so safety is going to be a major concern. We heard about traffic systems, and we looked at Poplarwood and so forth tonight. And with school coming on, all these places where there are schools, the traffic's going to begin to pick up with school buses and high school with kids driving and so forth, some with learner permits. So be careful out there, and thank you to our teachers. They are unsung heroes, and we overlook the job they do. I don't have kids in school anymore, but those of you that do, you send your kids and you expect your kids to be watched over, taken care of, to be safe, and to be taught. So to our teachers, I say thank you, and get ready for the next school year. The fall paving, I found out from talking to Todd Spearman this week, is there's a lot of roads in town that are coming up on the fall paving schedule. And so I appreciate the fact that that's going to be taken care of. There are spots in town the staff is well aware of that needs some attention. Fall paving is going to cure a lot of that, but if you have a serious need right now, a major pothole or something like that, please let City Hall know so they can get somebody out there and cover that for your safety. Approximately 12 or 13 million dollars in road improvements and improvements around town that the D&J did an article on. I just want the public to know we are spending quite a bit of money on roads and sidewalks and utilities and things like that in town that you may not see physically just yet, but that money's being spent, contracts are being bid, schedules are being made. And so for anybody that thinks we're not trying to take care of our roads, we truly are. There is a process, especially when you get out to state highways like Sam Ridley Parkway or Jefferson Pike. Those are state-operated roads. They're not city roads, and we have to, sometimes we have to mesh our connections with them. Old Nashville Highway and Sam Ridley is kind of an example. So there was a little, I was contacted about a little water ponding over there on the corner of Old Nashville and Sam Ridley this past week, and that is part of that road improvement at that intersection. So stand by. There's more lanes that are going to be added from, if you're coming from Lowe's to Sam Ridley Parkway, that will mirror what's across the road on the Old Nashville Highway. So you'll have added lanes, and certainly some drainage improvement will be taken care of then. So there's a lot of work going on. I just want the public to know. Last, it's sort of I guess a personal message. You know, in the last couple or 3 weeks, we've seen our country. We've seen the current president is now stepping aside, and there'll be, eventually there's going to be a new president. But there's a lot going on in politics from the country's perspective. We've had an attempt of a life on a president recently as well, a former president. So here's my thing. Divisiveness doesn't get us anywhere. Right? So I've often said, if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see where I said something about this. Tone it down. The rhetoric doesn't get anything done. It just causes people to be in danger, really. And so even locally, you see local elections that sometimes they get dirty. That's not favorable at all. I mean, have some civility and have some discussion, have some good debates, but my golly, don't send out hate mail to people. That gets nothing done. You don't convince anybody otherwise anyway. Save your money on postage, okay? Let's try to clean that up, and that's all I've got to say.
Thanks. I have a couple of slides. First of all, we were really excited to see this post. We were included in Nashville Parent Magazine's list of top local playgrounds with our Freedom Playground, and we were grateful for the partnership between Rotary Club of Smyrna, the Christy Houston Foundation, and the town. So we hope that you'll take time to go out and enjoy whether it's Freedom Playground or any of our parks here in town. Second, Mark, you hit a little bit on this. The town of Smyrna is conducting our special census, and a special census is a population count, and for every person that we count in the town of Smyrna, we receive an estimated $175 per person from state in shared sales tax revenue. So it is so important for us to get people counted, and it doesn't matter your age, young or old. If you are living here in the town of Smyrna, whether it's in a house, an apartment, wherever, we want to make sure you're counted. Currently, we have verified 616 homes and counted 1,800 residents. Guys, that's a little far off from the 53,070 people that was in the 2020 census. So we need your help in getting the word out. It is super easy. You can go online to be counted. We're hoping to get as many online as possible so that we don't have to send out mailers, because that costs money, and then we don't have to send the fire department to your house to be counted as well. You are going to see us all over town. We're going to be at ball games. We're going to be at events. We're going to be at schools. I will tell you, the schools have really stepped up. They are allowing us to send out flyers for each student. And so once we get those flyers back, staff here at Smyrna will enter those in and add to this count. But anything you can do, talk to your neighbors, let them know how important that it is. Also, another big thing is it is confidential, and federal law prohibits it from being shared with courts of law, with credit companies, with solicitors, with the police, with IRS, with immigration. Nobody else is going to get that. So please encourage your friends and neighbors to be counted with the census.
It's a benefit
Amber?
to our taxpayers.
Can I just want to piggyback off of what Mark said. Thank you for recognizing that we're carrying mailboxes out, and we actually, there's a ton of people behind the scenes too, and I know you realize that, but Mitch and his team, Kevin Rigsby and planning, I just want to thank them. They're the ones who have actually gotten the GIS program that we're using. They worked with Nolensville and made sure that we had the best online capability to be able to plug those in. We put Todd to work, Heather and Illamar, and they've created the whole website page and been pushing out social media. So who else? It's truly been a team effort. Rebecca has been in meetings. Jeff has been in our committee meetings. It's a whole committee that we have behind the scenes. I'm sorry? Yes, Melissa and legal with Chris Good have been working on putting videos together and scripts and narratives. So it's everybody's touching this a little bit. It truly takes a team. So we counted out 23,000 forms that we delivered to the principals at the schools, and that was a team effort. Charles, we always put him to work, but I think Public Works took some, and Mike Strange, we're going to get him his before long. So, but anyways, it's been everybody, but yes.
I knew it was more than just you two.
Well, I wanted to make sure everybody got the kudos,
I'm glad
because
you did.
it's not just, Casey and I, although we're out there sweating in the streets delivering these, forms to all the schools.
She's not very tall, a mailbox is about as tall as she is. She was going out the door with a
Hey,
mailbox.
but we were carrying it, weren't we?
Yeah, you were.
But what citizens need to know is, when we get our residents counted, that's what helped keep our property taxes low. So any of this money that we can get in through state shared money, then that helps to keep our property taxes low. So last but not least, we will be meeting on August the 2nd in a special called meeting to interview 4 people for our town manager position. I don't know if we will make a decision that day, but we will do face-to-face interviews that day. It'll start at 8:30 and go till about 3:30 or 4 o'clock. It is an open meeting to the public, and we invite and encourage anyone who'd like to attend to please do that. We'll be in the back conference room, and we're looking forward to that. Council, anything else?
Love where you live, don't litter.
Oh, we forgot that one tonight.
That comes on council.
Okay.
And you have a slide too, a new slide.
Oh,
You've missed it
You
the last
missed
couple
it, so-
times.
yes.
Yeah.
It's your shop local slide. You've got
Yeah,
your
we've got
own
a
slide.
I got a shop local sign.
You do.
You.
Great.
You do.
Okay, anything else? Nothing else, we're adjourned.